UpMagiC, I think, has enough force to clean this up, but Goliath is probably going to clean up the one single tank that was there. Now if Goliath's engaging the tanks of UpMagiC, UpMagiC has SCVs alongside to help repair. One SCV going to come in to kill the tank and get killed itself just as it does that. But 3 dropships now in the field for UpMagiC, 2 on the opposite side for Iris. Iris's forces here are going to be able to clean up, despite that one single Goliath. One single Goliath not going to be able to do too much. Forces are being dropped in, and Iris loses a sizable amount of forces. Is going to try to establish a third at the upper right-hand corner, but UpMagiC has had a third base for quite a long time, although he's not really using it for minerals. He's using it for gas so far. Trying to drop forces, trying to take a 4th base here at the lower left, putting some tanks and Goliaths, just trying to clear out everything. That one single Rax of Iris is finally going to get taken out, so Iris is going to lose a permanent spotter for a little while. Dropships meeting dropships here. UpMagiC trying to set up a defensive perimeter along his entire line. Has a few idle SCVs at the upper left, not really paying attention there. Should be mining some gas forms. Still forces being produced by Iris, still trying to get some dropships out into the field. UpMagiC going to take his 4th base at this point. And Iris still just getting his 3rd, not even really maybe halfway there. Probably should be on the way, almost ready, but not going to start mining from it right away. UpMagiC really just in a good, solid economic lead is going to be here. Iris is going to try to go for another drop inside of the main. There are turrets now all over the place for UpMagiC. He knows to be careful of this. We're going to see whether he actually is going to drop at the upper left. We're going to see whether he spots it. Yes, he does. There's one single turret there to defend. That's not going to be enough. Far too many Goliaths and tanks. This base is going to go down. Even if the CC floats away, it's not going to be safe. So UpMagiC is going to lose the upper left. And with that, probably going to lose his economic advantage that he was just gotten. But Iris still in a little bit on the back foot. UpMagiC has the more sizable force, is getting his 3rd now, is going to try to float away, but doesn't have any reinforcement forces to come in. That CC is going to go down. Actually, Iris not deciding to finish off the CC, interestingly enough. He actually loaded up all his Goliaths. He would have needed only several more shots, several more volleys from the Goliaths to take out the CC. Honestly, question his decision there not to finish it off, maybe deciding that he saw something coming, deciding to float his dropships away. And UpMagiC is actually going to be allowed to reestablish that one single base unless Iris comes back in to finish it off. Turrets, scanners going off everywhere. UpMagiC has actually set up a lot of turrets all over the place to try to spot those dropships that come in. Iris really only has his dropship play at this point, nothing really much else. Has a slight defensive perimeter inside of his natural, but UpMagiC has the more sizable force, so if he decides to drop in, he should actually be able to clean out the forces that Iris has. Still keep calling him Irish by accident. The Irish Iris. Colorful enough, I suppose. So yeah, UpMagic's just continuing focusing on his upper left at the moment, trying to build up some more turrets, trying to build it up again. He lost all of his SCVs at that position, but surprisingly didn't lose his command center. So he's definitely going to be able to build that base much easier. And UpMagiC actually, I think, lost an opportunity to really equalize the position a little bit. Now going to move his forces alongside the middle. Has a few dropships in for support. UpMagiC actually has his own a lot of dropships. Going to be Metal Glide. Going to lose one dropship to start off. That's not good for him. Has a couple of forces there on the ground. Now all the forces are going to be dropping on each other. I think now it's just going to come down to who has more. I think Irish actually has a slightly better position. I keep calling him Irish when I want to call him Iris. Has a lot more tanks. They're trying to move in on the tanks of UpMagic. Has a lot of forces being dropped in very close. And UpMagic is actually going to lose most of the forces down the middle that he didn't move away. Only didn't lose a small force, which he managed to move away out of position. And now it's just such a back and forth game that's going to come down to who has the better defensive position. I'm very interested to see that UpMagic hasn't really continued producing tanks all that much. Vultures, I'm sorry, it doesn't really utilize vulture play. Both players just sticking to Goliaths and tanks so far just to try to take out each other's dropships. I think actually faking one of the other guy to dropping a lot of forces on top of a dropship would be pretty nifty. Kind of a Terran lurker trap, if you will. Oh, it's a mine trap! Woo! Other random sound effects. At this point now, Iris actually going to put down a lot of pressure. Has a lot of dropships coming in. Is going to drop a lot of forces down. UpMagic does not have enough to defend. 4 or 5 tanks, some of them instantly get taken out, but not too many forces to let a lot of Goliaths. They're going to start focusing on supply, focusing on the tech. Some SCVs going to be pulled off, try to help defend UpMagic. Now finally moving in with his own dropships, try to prevent this as it happens. Has a lot of tanks, not going to start sieging up. Not quite sure if there's enough of them or not. Iris trying to defend as well as he can. The SCV still coming in, absorbing some fire, trying to take out the tanks. And Iris's attack is actually going to peter out. losing his Goliath. Didn't do too much damage. Maybe took out a supply depot or two. Didn't take out any tech. Didn't take out any production buildings and any upgrades. UpMagiC still holding steady. Hasn't really reestablished his upper left at this point. Still has 3 bases. His main not really mining at all. His natural probably dying a slow death. Very close to that. Iris is actually going to go for yet another one. Scan going off from UpMagiC though. He knew this was coming. He was expecting another one. Dropship's going to come down. We're going to see whether UpMagiC has enough to help defend. Iris did a really huge drop. I think he's maybe in a slightly better ready position. He has a lot of Goliaths to help support his tanks. UpMagiC trying to drop off a different position. Has some SCVs to help defend, but I think Iris at this point actually should be able to hold his position on just a couple of tanks. More tanks are being produced by the factories for UpMagiC trying to defend his, and some supply depots being lost there. And Iris actually now going to take the lower right, going to take a 4th base himself. He knows he should be able to afford this at this point. Not seeing any forces from UpMagiC, not really floating off, being forced to float up some of his factories to not lose them. Going to lose some tech, going to probably lose his academy there. Has lost a couple of supply depots. Iris actually doing a very good job with very aggressive play. Has a lot of tank waiting outside, but actually probably going to get dropped on. Scan going up. A lot of force going to drop on. Iris just in time. De-sieges his tanks. UpMagiC, I think I might actually have been a fake from UpMagiC, just using his drop just to force Iris to de-siege, just to delay him just a little bit. Now Iris is actually going to go at the lower left position. Has a lot of Goliaths moving into that. A lot of his V's going to be sacrificed there. Oh, just managing to move off in time. But this command center is also in jeopardy. UpMagiC at this point, I don't think really has enough troops on the ground to help defend himself. Lost so many. Iris now going to go at this lower left. Going to start attacking it a lot. Has a lot of forces at the sieging the main. Finally going to get cleaned up by UpMagiC. Finally has enough tanks and Goliaths and SCVs. Going to be forcing to use his SCVs to come in close and just really defend his position there. Oh man, Iris taking out the lower left. UpMagiC just mining in his natural so far. Probably at the upper left as well. Going to continue dropping in. Probably now going to siege the natural expansion. And UpMagiC is in a whole lot of trouble. I thought he was in a much better position than this, but he just does not have the production. Finally now moving in with his own dropships after taking some damage. Can't really prevent the drops of Iris, as I think his early Wraith strategy would have been a little bit useful at this point. Losing a dropship there again. You can't really keep producing that. Reproduce it. Being forced to reproduce an armory at the upper right. GG coming in from UpMagiC. And Iris has moved on into the round of 16. Wow. I gotta say, in this group, Iris to me is a little bit of a surprise. Not a surprise. I am not in favor of, though. Now we're going to have Nada, UpMagiC, and Harang to duke it out. We're going to have UpMagiC up against either Nada or Harang in the final match. Nada and Harang, of course, playing the losers match. And I got to say, UpMagiC still has a chance to get back in this if, say, Harang decides to somehow cheese Nada, catches him off guard. UpMagiC, we'll see if UpMagiC manages to beat him yet again. And it's anyone's group at this point, I gotta say. I was expecting UpMagiC to win this, really. Not that Iris is not skilled. Iris is a wonderful player, and he's being played pretty well this Pro League season compared to how he's been slumping a little bit for a while. Yeah, you wouldn't really call it slumping. He's just not up to his usual old par back in 06-07. But still, of course, a wonderful player, and I really look forward to see him in the round of 16. So that's Group E for you guys. GG, ranching out. Thanks for listening.